Well, in the beginning, with Red Hen Press, I had moved to Los Angeles, and the guy I was married to was in the film industry, and so consequently, everyone I met and worked with was in the film industry. And I thought this was very distressing because we'd go to these film parties and they were fun, but there weren't enough people talking about books. And so as I was getting a divorce, I collected a bunch of my friends and told them that I was going to make LA into a literary city. And there was someone, a hater, who pointed out that I had just left a marriage with 2 small children to support. Everything I owned fit in a 2-seater car, and the babysitter fit in there too. And that Los Angeles is a large metropolitan area of 10 million people, and that maybe I wasn't up to the task. I laugh in that person's direction. So I decided to start with the press, just starting to publish a few poetry books. But by 3 years into it, I could see we couldn't survive on poetry, and we started publishing prose. And then a few years later, we started the Los Angeles Review. So we'd have this literary magazine having a conversation with the press. And then we started reading series in LA, and then afterwards reading series in New York. And again, they were sort of reading series having a conversation with each other. And so I started to feel like there was something happening. While we were working on the press, Antioch MFA started, Riverside started taking off as a writing program, and so it started to feel like now there's a center to this city. There are other programs starting up, and so in the end, it isn't that LA started to become transformed into a literary city by me. It was just that I was starting to do something, and then other people started to do something completely independently, and so I feel like LA has become a much more literary city in the last 20 years. So the idea of the book, The Goldilocks Zone, was that when scientists are looking in space for aliens, as we say, they aren't really looking for aliens. They're looking for planets that are not too hot and not too cold. So planets that exist in this Goldilocks Zone space. So that's what a habitable planet is. It's the right distance from a sun, and it's not too hot and not too cold. So I like this very much, and I kept thinking about how that would be great for a habitable planet, but that it wouldn't be great for a life, especially a life of a writer. You have to have some parts that are too hot and too cold, where it's dark, where you go into the dark, and parts where you have ecstasy in your life and drama in your life, and that's what makes us creators. And so I really wanted to write a book about that whole idea of creating work and also of creating a literary organization. So a lot of the poems have to do with different parts of the ups and downs of creating something like a literary space. And it's very exciting, but there's a lot of dark places too. And so I felt that I wanted all of that to get in. I also did a lot of research on this, and that was really fun. So I researched the inventions of glass, condoms, bridges, and fireworks, and all of that came into this, because I also think that both writing and starting a literary organization are about invention in the first place.
So you don't like the Goldilocks Zone?
I don't like the Goldilocks Zone as a life. I think that I don't want to live in a life that's too calm. And maybe I'm too much of a hedonist anyway. So to me, I don't want to have one whole year pass that I never have too much to drink. You should have too much to drink at least once a year, I think, because then you just have that experience, and you don't have to be, crazy, but I mean, just like you got a little crazy. A few months ago, I was at a party, and Pete Fairchild and I were there, and we just got whooshed on margaritas, and it was this great experience because you just, you are throwing yourself down into life, and then you've had that experience, and you've got that to write about. So I don't think you want to live in the Goldilocks Zone.